Hello, beautiful ones. This is Zion, womb healing facilitator and trauma healing guide. And today I want to bring a message for the women watching about feeling safe. And the truth is that most of us don't feel safe. And it's the thing that we struggle with the most as women. To feel safe in the world. And this was actually a huge issue for me because of my past, because of my story, but I mean, of course, also because of the society in which we live in. So I want to share with you today some very powerful insights that will help you feel safer in your body, in your life, and in the world as a woman. There are many things that influence the way that we feel and whether we feel safe or not. There are external and internal influences. Obviously, externally, there's a lot of reasons why women don't feel safe. There's a lot of very scary things happening, and we don't feel secure, and we don't feel protected, and we feel threatened, and our survival fears are triggered constantly because of this. So this is a reality, and I don't want to bypass that because I think it's really important to acknowledge that a lot of these fears are very valid. And what I want to bring is an empowering message of what we can do, what we get to do as feminine embodiments in order to feel safer and even to change this whole situation, this whole collective situation in which women don't feel safe in the world. Because the truth is that we have much more power over this situation and over our feeling of safety than we might be aware of. So first of all, just acknowledging that yes, there are real threats in the world that put women in a vulnerable position. It's a reality. And many of us have experienced these things personally. And if not, all of us know some woman in our family or our circle who's experienced something pretty dark, where instead of being protected, our vulnerability has been used against us, and we've been used, abused, violated, and so on. So this is a reality. And also another influence for feeling unsafe, it's our own wounds and our unresolved trauma and all the things that have been wired into our bodies and our system since conception, actually, since we were in the womb, also through birth, and then especially through the first few years of our lives, which is the time in which our subconscious is being wired. And all of the experiences that we have from conception until around 8 years old are very significant when it comes to how we feel in the body and how we feel in the world. So a lot of us have developmental trauma. We haven't received enough containment. We haven't received enough protection. And or we might have been exposed to certain experiences and environments that were unsafe. So that makes us integrate this feeling of being in threat in the body. And it's something that we need to work on personally, because otherwise it's really easy to feel unsafe in the world. And it's super challenging. And I remember a long time ago, last year, I asked my community, on my online community, which emotion was the most challenging to sit with. And the majority of people answered fear. Fear is such a challenging emotion to embrace and to move through and to work with. And when you hold fear in your body, which is what unsafety essentially is, you have to be willing to sit with that fear. You have to give it the space. And you have to find ways to move it through your body and replace it with safety. Because all these memories that are in the body, all these memories and all these beliefs that are in our subconscious mind, body, they are alive within us until we shift them. And they will continue to come up until we give them attention. So stay until the end, because I'm going to share 2 really powerful keys for how to change this. And I want to share a little bit about my story, just so you get a tiny bit of an idea of how powerful this is, because I actually come from a childhood in which I experienced so much violence, physical violence. I was emotionally and psychologically abused. I was sexually abused. Growing up as an adult, I also had 2 abusive relationships. I was bullied in school. I was tangled in a really difficult court case since I was a child until I was an adult. I've gone through so many experiences that have made me hold on to so much fear in my body, so much fear. And that caused me to even disconnect from my body. I've lived on hypervigilance for most of my life. And now I'm actually at the point in which I feel safe. And I'm calm. And I'm steady. And I know who I am. And I have found this center and this anchor in myself and in my body that is unshakable. So it's a big passion for me to share this work, because all of us have the right to feel this feeling of security, this feeling of self-trust, this knowing of our power, and this deep sense of safety that is ours. It's our birthright as women, regardless of what's happening in the world. And of course, it's normal to be, to feel uneasy sometimes. It's normal to feel triggered sometimes, especially if we're exposed to environments that don't feel safe. It's normal. And that shouldn't be our constant state. And that shouldn't have to be something that we're struggling with every single day. And it doesn't have to be. And I'm telling you, as someone who's living proof of that. And yes, this took many years of work, many years of devoted healing. But if it's possible for me, it's absolutely possible for you. I can tell you that. Because the main thing that I've struggled with for most of my life is fear and terror. And, a lot of survival fears. Because when I was a child, I was really afraid of losing my own life in the hands of a family member. So we're talking about pretty real threats here. And this is something that I've managed to shift. And I'm really grateful, actually, that I can share this message today, because it's going to be really life-changing. Not just for us individually, but collectively. We are on a process of releasing all these things that have kept us away from our nature as women. And one of those things is fear. Because the feminine cannot drop into softness, and the feminine cannot tap into all of her power and her mystery and her wisdom if she doesn't feel safe. If there is no container, if there is no security, if there is no earth. And fear is a form of control. which has been used against us for a very long time. And now comes the time in which that is going to end. And it ends as we do this work individually, as we rewire our system into safety. So I'm going to share the two main keys that I have found in order to create this safety for ourselves, to enhance our feelings of safety and security in the body, in our lives, in the world. Sherry says, I agree, it's natural. Yes. So, first key, it's the womb. And there's a few reasons why, actually. The first one is that the womb is a place that really grounds us. The womb has a direct connection to the earth. And even physically, it's located in the lower half of our bodies. And most of us, we are completely disconnected from the lower part of our bodies. Our energy is here in the mind, sometimes in the chest, and sometimes even outside of the body. And we are completely ungrounded. And it's impossible to feel safe if we are ungrounded, because it's very unstable. We have no foundation. We have nothing solid to hold on to if we're all over the place. So something that's deeply grounding is to connect with the womb. The womb is a center. The womb is actually the feminine center. So if it's one of our centers in the body and we're disconnected from it, and it's the center that is the most grounding, then of course we're not going to feel safe. And we're not going to have the same level of trust with our own bodies if we're not inhabiting our bodies. We don't even know what it feels like really to be in the body. And most of us are not aware of the fact that we're not really grounded, that we're not really in the body. And it's not possible to be grounded if we're not connected to the womb. We've made it such a normal thing. We overlook the womb so much in our society. We think about it only when we think about pregnancy, or when we think about ailments in the womb. And it's crazy because it's such a fundamental space for us as women, not just on a physical level, but on an energetic level. The womb is our deepest source of power as women. And when we are connected to this power, it's very unlikely that we will feel unsafe. And this is something that we cannot understand through the mind. This is something that we literally have to feel in our bodies. It's something that we have to experience to actually understand the level of security that it can give you to know your power. The womb is also the source of our personal truth. She is completely unwavering and clear, sharp. So when we are connected to her, we are connected to our womb, and it's really difficult to move a woman who is connected to her truth. That gives you a very strong feeling of self-trust, and therefore a deep feeling of safety. And the womb is also a creative center. So, something fascinating is that we can actually birth anything through the womb, not just a child. We can birth frequencies and extend them throughout our whole system and our whole bodies in all the dimensions that are a part of us, in all of our dimensions, in our multidimensionality. So if we want to feel more safety, we can actually birth that from the womb and extend it into our whole aura. And it's incredibly powerful, I'm telling you. So I will even say that one of the main reasons why so many women don't feel safe is because they're cut off from their womb. Not just because we live in a society in which there are real threats. That's a reality. But that's not the only reason. It's not just about external circumstances. It's about the internal environment. And just changing this changes everything, literally. And then the second key that I want to share with you, which is very much tied in with this, is the body. Because if we're not in relationship with our bodies, that makes us very vulnerable and very easy to move around. It's kind of like if you're a tree. If you don't have strong roots, then as soon as some wind comes, you're going to be blown to the side and you're going to be weak and vulnerable to the strength of the wind. But if you have strong roots, then it doesn't matter when the wind comes, because you'll have something rooting you and anchoring you, right? And the body and womb, because the body is like the home for your womb, and the womb also has roots. The body is that source of root for us. And if we are not in relationship with that, then we are very vulnerable, and it's a reality. So it's absolutely essential that we build a relationship with the body, and that we begin to inhabit the body, and that we make it a practice, a life practice, that we are consistent with it, because there are so many ways in which we have disconnected, and there are so many parts of our bodies that we are not inhabiting and we are not aware of it. And this can be a lifelong process, because one day you might be feeling pretty grounded, but then you go outside and you encounter a difficult situation, something triggers you, and then parts of you leave your body. So you have to be constantly calling yourself back in. And the better it gets, the better it gets. And it gets easier and easier and easier for your spirit and your being and your energy to feel at home in your body. So actually, the more that you do this work, the less you need to do this work. You know, the work of being in the body, embodiment, grounding. You're not going to need to do a lot of grounding practices if you are inhabiting your body already. So, somatic healing actually happens through the body. A lot of these experiences from the first few years of our lives, in which our subconscious is wired, they can be accessed and must be accessed through the body, because there's a lot of healing modalities. And I've worked with trauma healing for many years, and there's a lot of work that you can do with emotional healing, and I've done a lot of that professionally and personally, and it's very important, it's essential. But the breakthrough really comes when you use the body as a part of that. Because there's a lot of memories that live in the body and that cannot be accessed just through the mind. So we need to work with this somatic aspect that lives in the body, to rewire those memories, to go back to the time in which we didn't feel safe or held or protected, and turn it around and begin to speak the language of our bodies, returning to what is most primal and essential and even animalistic in us. And we can only do that through the body, because it's the most earthy and primal part of ourselves, right? And that's why we're on earth, to enjoy and experience and love this body and love being in this body. And I'm just gonna make a disclaimer here. This work doesn't always feel good. It doesn't even always feel good in the body. There are parts and layers of this process of being embodied again that are deeply uncomfortable and even boring. There's resistance there. So that's why the consistency is really important. And of course, having someone who can properly guide you through that. And the same way that we can birth frequencies through the womb and extend them throughout our whole being, we can also do that with the body. And movement practices like feminine embodiment are very helpful to do that, to integrate those feelings of safety, of security, of being grounded. And those are the two main keys that I want to share with you. And I also want to share something else that was quite impactful for me last year. I received this message while I was in a process of releasing fear from my body. And I heard fear is a lack of self-recognition. Fear is a lack of self-recognition. If we really knew who we are, if we really knew how powerful we are, we wouldn't be half as fearful as we are. So going back to what I was saying before, if the womb is such a deep and fundamental source of truth that connects us with the essence of who we are, then being connected to the womb is one of the most powerful things we can do to really own our power and to really own our bodies and our lives and stop feeling so vulnerable and so scared. Because if we really, really knew our power, it would be a very different world. And I'm on a mission for that, so that's why I'm here today. And I would really love to hear in the comments how this resonates with you. If you feel safe in your body, if you feel safe in the world, if this is a struggle for you. And I'm just reading here the comments of Sherry and Delaney. I will get back to that in a moment. But I wanted to also say that if you want to go deeper into this, I actually have 2 spots open for my womb healing program. It's called Cyclical Woman. And we begin around the time of the new moon on 23rd of February. And today is the last day to sign up at the early bird price. So if this is calling to you, let me know and I'll send you all the details. This program is amazing to work on all these things. It takes you on a really deep journey into the womb and into the body, and we work with all these practices. So if this is calling you, it's definitely gonna be super powerful for you. And thank you so much for being here. I really look forward to reading your comments, to reading your experience, because I want to know, I want to know how you feel, and I want to know what's your experience. So Delaney says, Zion, I adore your energy, heart message. The importance of women's safety is so important. Been practicing for years and still have so much to learn and grow in regards to my womb connection. Can't stay for the whole life, but stopping by to say hi, to show love and support. Womb healing changed my life. Wow, that's beautiful. Thank you, Delaney. Yes. Sherry says, feminine embodiment. Yes. So good to be here with you today, and so good to share this. And yeah, I want to just leave you with this last note, that it is possible to feel safer, and that we are collectively creating a change as we go in and we give ourselves the message that we are safe. And as we create circumstances in our lives and environments for ourselves that enhance this feeling of security, because that's also really important. But it must really be an internal work that we do to rewire these old memories that are not only ours, but also collective, but also from our grandmothers and also from our sisters around the world. A lot of women who have experienced for so long so many tragedies. So thank you so much for being on a journey to do that, because you are helping to birth a new earth too. And thank you for taking the time to be here to listen to this message. It's a true honor for me. I hope you have a beautiful day. Look forward to read your comments and your messages, and I'm sending you so much love.